Good morning, we're here at BoulderUK in Preston for the Plywood Masters. A scramble format qualifiers kicked things off yesterday and we're just moments away from seeing the action in the semi-finals. My name's Mina, Leslie-Wujastyk, and I'm here with Neil Gresham to commentate as the best of British climbers compete.
Yeah, thanks Mina. We're really looking forward to this one. It's going to be a really exciting competition.
Yeah, it's going to be great. The Plywood Masters has been such a popular competition over the years and it's great to see that it's still developing and growing. And that's partly in thanks to the work of the sponsors of this event. So a massive thank you to Squadra Holds, Organic Climbing, Eldred, Red Chili, Friction Labs, Climb Skin, La Sportiva, Nomad Volumes and Moon Climbing. So let's take a look at the start list and see whose faces have made it through to the semi-finals from yesterday's qualifiers. So, Neil, who have we got in the men's?
Well, we got starting off with Noah Francis, who qualified in 20th. Then we've got Neil McCallum in 19th. 18th, familiar face on the scene, Jordan Byes. 17th, David Sutcliffe. 16th, John Golder. 15th, we've got Jacob Dillistone. 14th, Dale Judson. 13, Tom Lee. 12, Ben William Hargreaves. And 11, Matt Varela Christie. In 10th, Aidan Dunn. 9th, Sammy Oakes. 8th, Ben Preston. 7th, first comp back from injury, Matt Cousins. 6th, the Grandmaster, Dave Barons. Everyone will know his name for sure. And then it really starts to get in with the list of the contenders for the podium.
Okay, so it's actually started already. Quick fire start, and we have Sam Butterworth, I think, on men's number 1.
Men's number 1, yeah. This problem really is the last thing you'd want when you're coming out of isolation feeling quite nervous, with some dual textured holds, very, very slippery pull on for the guys there. And then
on problem number 1 for the women, we've got Amelia Essex with what looks like a really burly, blobby boulder problem. Lots of big kind of shouldery moves. So really quite different problems for the men and the women to start.
Yeah, for sure, very contrasting. So it's Noah Francis on M1. And Ian Vick is one of the head setters here, told me that this men's number 1 problem, it's got a really hard foot swap on the upper part and then a micro crimp to match before you match the finishing hold.
So Amelia is actually only 16. She lives in Bradford. She's been in a few finals and a few bouldering leagues, but I think, you know, she's fairly new to these kind of bigger competitions.
Really burly move she's got to make here, hey Mina, testing her shoulder strength right to the limit.
Yeah, it looks really hard to get over that left foot.
Ooh, it's whether you go dynamically or whether you try and press it.
Well, she's got the bonus.
And that'll really count in her favour, because the way the scoring system works in this format is that the bonuses are quite heavily weighted. Rewards athletes for their progress up the problem rather than it being top or nothing.
Oh, close attempt there.
And of course they have 5 minutes, don't they? So it's up to them how they use their time. I'd imagine she'll be wanting to take quite a rest after that.
Yeah, with the burly ones, you almost don't want to have too many goes, especially considering they've got quite a few boulder problems to get through.
Yeah. Well, with Noah here, because he's on a more slabby problem, it probably justifies having more attempts, especially seeing as it's so technical. You need to learn the nuances of the problem. Very balancy and bandori. And with these dual textured footholds, you've got to be so accurate because they have a little slippery outside rim. So you've got to stand on the friction part of the hold very, very precisely.
Yeah, we went and actually had a look at these boulders before the competition began, so we had a bit more of an idea of what the climbers were going through, and this one looked kind of pretty slippy, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It's on Squadra, and yeah, mainly Squadra holds, and it was set by Jamie Cassidy. Very tricky foot swap, just coming up after that move that Noah dropped. And Noah describes his favourite type of bouldering as big, powerful moves, so it probably wasn't his first choice of first problem, but then that's the test in boulder comps these days. You've got to be able to do the slabby ones as well as the steep ones.
Amelia setting off again on female number one. Look at that, she's quite spanned actually between those two holds.
And this crucial press move in the middle. Let's see how she does it this time. A bit more static maybe, and then just edging into the best part. Nicely done, Amelia.
Quite big moves, aren't they, between these holds?
Really
kind of
big, burly moves.
They look like quite positive holds, but quite a distance apart.
Yeah, certainly the men's and women's first problems couldn't be more contrasting. And he's starting to use up his last few seconds of time now.
It's one of the hardest things actually about competition climbing, especially in this format, is managing your own rest time. It's kind of no point sometimes having one more go if you don't think you can do the boulder, because it'll just take more energy out of you for the next ones. But obviously, you know, we're all drawn in by that one last go, try and get it done mentality.
Yeah. And you want to please the crowd as well, don't you? You don't want to be finishing your go sat on the mat.
Absolutely, and it's really satisfying when you do pull it out the bag on your last go.
15 seconds to go now, so it really is a make or break for Noah here. Is he going to give it one more? I think he's done.
All right, so who have we got next out? In the women's, we have Abigail Wilkinson. And in the men, who have we got, Neil?
Let's have a look.
It's Sam Butterworth, so I got it wrong in the first climber.
So Neil McCallum.
Oh. Sorry, my mistake. Not Sam Butterworth. He's going to be one of the last climbers out. I was reading my list.
Looks like we've got Neil
down.
McCallum.
Yeah, we've got Neil McCallum.
Yeah, here we go. A few changes just in the starting order list here. Neil made a strong start on number one there.
So Abigail Wilson is 21 years old. She's from Burnley. She currently lives in a caravan.
So Neil McCallum, one of the veterans in this competition, from Accrington. He describes his climbing style as like a praying mantis. It's probably just what you need for this problem, wouldn't you say, Mina? Really creepy and stealthy.
Creepy boulder problem.
Yeah. He describes his favourite type of problem as reachy. Now, he's never been in a Plywood Masters before, so big deal for him stepping up to the plate here.
And Abigail likes crimpy climbing, so this is probably not her favourite kind of boulder problem.
Got to work your weaknesses though.
Absolutely. There definitely seem to nowadays, and I'm sure it's intentional, the bouldering setting for women seems to have got more powerful and burly than it used to be. Because I think everyone got so strong on the crimp that it was quite hard to split people.
For sure. But what's interesting is also the way we see that the sort of typical style of competition problems has sort of swayed from one direction to the other. At one point it went very much more about like flicky, coordination-y, parkour-type problems, and it seems to have almost moved back to a more central position where climbers are tested for kind of strength in a more traditional way, as well as having to have the movement skills for the coordination problems. So you've got to have the full skill set now. And also, I think, especially here at BoulderUK, the flavour of the setting is it's not just jumping around. Oh, here we go though. Neil's coming through, and this is this crucial last crimp that Ian Vickers described as being desperately small, and he's got to make a very tricky foot swap now if he does it the way that the setter's intended. He's got to be very stealthy. That's the crucial move.
Looks like a really difficult finish. Really difficult hold to match up there. You probably can't see on the live stream, it's probably more obvious on the lower holds that they're dual texture, but the little foot holds that he's on as well are actually dual texture as well. So the outside of those holds is really shiny material, and just the very middle of the foothold is has a decent amount of friction on it.
Yeah, we walked these problems before the semi-finals, didn't we, Mina? And it just really did look like such a test of footwork accuracy on a lot of these problems with the dual textures. And Neil's just using his time here to take stock. Even on the slab problems, you do need to pace yourself and conserve energy to a degree.
Abigail's struggling on the start so far, but hopefully she'll make a little breakthrough now.
Incredible flexibility getting into that tuck position there. That's obviously really, but so hard pulling out of that position.
Quite different approach to Amelia as well. Amelia was kind of more stood up in that first hold, like an undercut. Whereas Abigail's trying to kind of squat down lower underneath it. I wonder if that's holding her back in terms of getting the next hold.
Neil, I think he's calling it a day there now. He's given that problem his best shot. Going to pace himself, save his beans for the next one. Abby's definitely going down fighting on this one.
Oh, not this time. So very nice here. We've got Jordan Buys and Naomi Buys out together.
Here they go.
Husband and wife both been in the competition and outdoor climbing scene for quite some time, so they're familiar faces, especially at BoulderUK, their local wall.
Jordan describes his climbing style as traditional. Not quite sure what that means, but I think he's probably selling himself short, because he's definitely a jack of all trades. Whilst he's happy out on the crags fiddling in wires, he certainly knows what he's doing in this environment.
Naomi describes her climbing style as unpredictable. Not quite sure what she means by that.
Well, it makes for a good show in a competition, that's for sure. And Jordan's just been at it for a long time. He's climbed 9A on the crag, trad E9, but he's placed high in comps as well. You know, he's had a fourth in a BBC's before.
Naomi doing well.
This move's really going to suit her. She's really, really strong and powerful, Naomi.
Yeah, she's climbed sport routes up to 8B outside, trad up to E8, so she's not shy of a hard move.
It's just so good to see her back in the saddle here. She's had a bit of time out with injury over the last few years, but it's really good to see her getting back to form. A superb top there. Nicely done. Can Jordan match up to it? That's the question. Bit of pressure on now that Naomi's topped it. Slab problems like this, it's all about staying composed, not panicking and not rushing your next move. Incredible effort for Jordan to stick that dual textured foothold at such high speed. If he hadn't been super accurate on that, oh, and it goes. Just goes to show how marginal it is.
Yeah, it's hard because I guess you don't want to rush on those problems, but you've also got to kind of move quite quickly before things pop off. So we've got the first climbers that we saw out and now on the second boulder.
Noah Francis on to men's problem number 2. Jordan's just using his time up. That's Amelia there, isn't it?
Yep. Mina looking good on problem number 2.
So this problem was just described by Ian Vickers as technical. And doesn't it just look it? The holds here are a mixture of a brand called Flat Holds, another brand called Cheetah, and also Kilter Holds. Meantime, Noah Francis is encountering the very difficult press move, which is the crux of men's problem number 2. Apparently it's and a narrow miss there from Amelia.
Little replay there of Jordan.
Ooh, Jordan just barn dooring out.
Both the climbers on the second problem's taking a well-timed rest. They both just fell really high, which means they probably know, they can get back up to that move, but they've got to rest enough.
It's just pacing themselves, isn't it?
The men's problem in particular looks really burly at the start, so although he's got up there quite quickly, it's going to be fairly taxing.
Yeah, the lowdown on this problem is that the starting moves aren't super difficult, but as Mina says, they're fatiguing. Lay backing up this flat volume, real sloper on the lip, but then the crux is definitely this next move. The left-hand crimp is apparently tiny, and that volume is just so far away, and it's a really, really strenuous lock. Jordan Byes this time missing the foot stab frustratingly.
Amelia looking good near the top of problem number 2. Oh, and that was an incredible hold.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
That's the sort of thing you only do in a comp. And Jordan looks like he's had enough on that slab. Who can blame him? Looked horrendous.
Okay, so in the women's, we've now got Alice Thompson coming out on boulder problem number 1. She's 25, lives in Manchester.
Dave Sutcliffe coming out as well for the men. Nicknamed Sooty.
She says her climbing style is endurance-y, and she doesn't like coordination and jumps, so we'll see how that goes for a competition event. They usually get a few of those.
Meantime, Neil McCallum on to problem number 2. He's got to take some care with those dual textured footholds.
Looking pretty steady up there.
Very strong on that sloper on the lip. Incredible strength on that lock move from Neil McCallum.
And Abigail Wilson doing pretty well at the top of female number 2 as well, kind of staring down that penultimate hold nearly.
Incredible performance from Neil there.
Great first top on that boulder. Still no one's got up to the top of men's number 1 climb, have they? That slab. It'll be interesting to see what the technique is when they make it up.
Dave Sutcliffe here on men's problem number 1, giving it a brush, taking a bit of a break.
And Alice Thompson actually doing pretty well on female number 1. Eyeing up the last hold. Ah, she made that look pretty easy.
It's a cruise.
setting
Dave
off
Sutcliffe again. Really committing weight to that heel. Looks like a nice way of doing that middle move. Come on, Dave's got it. This is the tricky foot swap, and he pulls it off.
Oh, close. Abby looking good at the top of women's number 2, eyeing up the top hold this time, and she's got it.
What can Dave Sutcliffe do to just tip the scales in his favour on this slab problem?
One of the things I think we often forget watching these semi-final and then eventually final rounds is that obviously these climbers have done a lot of bouldering the day before to qualify for this. So they're probably pretty tired. They've probably lost a bit of skin on volumes and stuff, so their skin will be sore. And I think often we forget that, don't we, when we watch the...
Yeah, because there's a lot of volume in the qualifier. It takes the edge off. Dave's probably got time for just a couple more attempts, I'd guess, here, including this one. He's got this approach section well wired. That's that tricky foot swap. Can he stick the crimp this time? This is the crucial move. Really bedding his feet into those footholds. A bit more height this time is looking better for him. He's got 20 seconds to go, so it's all going to come down to this attempt. What an incredible mantle shelf.
Oh, it looked like he was going to get right on top of that hold then.
12 seconds to go. Probably not enough time for another go. Yeah, that's it for Dave now.
Okay, so on women's number 1, we now have Ciara Fabry, 26 years old, lives in Cumbria.
And John Golder just coming out for the men. Meanwhile, Jordan Byes moving on to men's problem number 2.
And Naomi on problem number 2 in the women's.
Here goes John Golder, age 19, 6 foot tall. Comes from Ambleside in Cumbria.
Ciara straight off on problem number 1, looking really good.
Jordan Byes, well suited to the burly, powerful style on men's problem number 2. Excellent use of the heel there under that volume for Jordan. And now for this crux lock move. He's come back to the crimp. Good job.
Yeah, making quick work. Naomi doing well. They're going to meet at the top, hopefully.
Is it going to be a simultaneous top out for the Byes?
Oh,
There it is.
Jordan making quick work. Almost looked like he was going to hang out at the top to watch Naomi finish there, wasn't he?
Decided to save his strength. I'm sure she won't mind.
Oh, nearly, but she's off.
France is now getting stuck into men's problem number 3. The purple holds. Set by James Garden. Described simply as brutal.
Yeah, it looked really hard, this purple one, didn't it? Quite a kind of tough-looking cross under to an undercut, where they'd also put a little blocker hold on the back of the undercut, so you had to go to it quite slow and accurate. This orange one looks great, actually, for the girls. Really burly, quite involved climbing, committing jump here to the bonus.
Apparently it's all about that dyno in the middle on women's 3. Noah Francis sizing up for this undercut move. Holding that. Back to John Golder now on M1. Bouldering out there.
Amelia back on women's number 3. Spicy looking heel hook there. And Naomi's setting off again on women's number 2. She got pretty close last time, within kind of chucking distance of the last hold. She looks pretty comfortable here. Comfortable enough to chalk up. Must mean that those last 2 holds are pretty poor.
Must be horrendous. Come on, Naomi.
Really nice. That time she really sunk under that right shoulder, didn't she? Did it actually quite easily in the end.
Superb job.
Okay, they've got 1 minute to go, whoever's still climbing. Got Amelia on problem number 3.
Back to John Golder on M1. Ooh. Now Francis on M3. Starts to tire you out now. You get to this stage, especially on problems like this, which is just purely physical. 10 seconds to go, so it's going to be last go for Noah here. Again, power level starting to drain out. This is going to be the real test for these semi-finalists. By the time they get this far across the wall, after all the climbing they've done yesterday, who's going to have the strength to finish?
Exactly. So out on problem number 1, we have Grace Trenchard. She's only 16 years old, from Preston, so she's very much a local. Again, described her climbing style that she prefers as crimpy, which if we've learnt anything from the first 2 boulders, she won't be getting much of that.
Neil McCallum now coming over to M3. He's looking so strong on M2. Let's see if he's got enough in the tank for this. Front lever in, stick that left toe and drop under to the undercut. And this undercut, as Mina says, has a cap on it, so they have to be very accurate. Keep that tension up as well.
We've got Jacob having had his first attempt on men's problem number 1.
Yeah, Jacob Dillistone on problem number 1.
Oh, Grace Trenchard making a top there.
Jacob Dillistone, 20 years old, from Lancaster. He's climbed 7C in Fontainebleau. Currently studying maths, as he studied the biomechanics of slab climbing there.
Dave Sutcliffe on board problem number 2 for the men's, making quite quick work through the undercut section. Again, that's not supposed to be the crux, but still pretty taxing.
After this crucial lock move off the left-hand crimp. Come on, Dave.
Oh. Looks quite blind, that as well.
For sure. Back to Jacob Dillistone now on M1. Neil McCallum. With a decent rest now, he knows what's coming up. You can see now that crucial undercut that they've got to come into. Just fading on the crimp there.
Jacob balancing on the slab.
He's taking his time this time, locking into those positions, just getting a bit more of a feel for it. Come on, Jacob.
Oh, good effort holding that. Looks really delicate. Jamie Cassidy set this first boulder. It's had no flashes yet. No tops at all, in fact.
And the holds again are only Squadra on this first problem, one of the sponsors of the event. Every single one of them dual textured. Looks like third blast now for Neil on this one.
You can see there behind him, Abby taking a rest, having had a few throws at that big orange blobby problem.
Dave Sutcliffe again, solidly on the crimp this time. Come on, Dave, looks like he's got it. Famous last words. Oh, but he's in. Superb top from 43-year-old Dave Sutcliffe from Barnoldswick.
One minute to go.
Jacob Dillistone keeping it stealthy, keeping it precise on M1. This is when it starts to become like a form of punishment, isn't it, Mina? Fourth go now for Neil McCallum.
Yeah, especially on that kind of burly move. And the same for Abby Wilkinson on women's number 3. We've seen her have a few throws. We haven't seen anyone hold that bonus hold yet on that problem, I don't think. We're into the last kind of 5 seconds now, actually. Abby looking like she's going to pull on again, but I don't think she's got time.
Dale Judson on men's problem number 1. He's from Burnley, local lad. Jordan Byes moving on to M3.
And on problem number 1 for the women, we've got Sadie Marsden. She's, again, pretty local, lives in Leyland, which is close to this wall. Again, says she prefers crimps. We're going to have a lot of disappointed ladies by the sounds of it. She's a personal trainer.
Noah Francis on M4. Dale Judson, here we are on problem number 1 for the men. Can he make sense of this really precarious slab? Been causing so many problems so far. Straight onto the higher foothold with his left foot to save smearing on that dual texture.
It's interesting the men and women have such a different start. Women, it's straight into, okay, are you powerful? And with the men, it's straight into, okay, what are your movement skills like? Sadie making good progress there. Not looking entirely comfortable, but she's working it out.
So Sadie, local climber, trains here at BoulderUK. Tends to be more into sport climbing, but can certainly hold her own in the bouldering too.
Yep, she's climbed up to 7C sport climbing, tremolo at Malham, for those of you that want specifics.
Meantime, John Golder just misses that lock on men's problem number 2.
And we've got climbers on the last problems now, so the whole wall's occupied. We've got Amelia on the final slab for the women, which looks really tricky, very slopey, kind of looks like the sort of problem you could fall off anywhere because the feet are pretty much bad from the beginning to the end.
Don't they all? Really creative use of the Squadra holds, and also Nomad Volumes, 2 sponsors, hold sponsors of the event.
Sadie setting off for another attempt at women's number 1. This problem was set by Jamie Swales.
Looks like it's only had one flash so far.
Sadie really needing to start to push out of that left arm. Pretty shouldery.
Back to John Golder on M2. Fairly steady start on this problem, but it definitely takes it out of you with the kind of burly laybacky style. Oh, that crimp's the last hold you want to cut loose on. Has he got it in the tank for this lock move? Misses it by centimetres.
Amelia back on the slab. Just really delicate, quite tensiony here. Good catch with a foot across. Edging over to those little footholds.
Meanwhile, Noah Francis on men's 4.
Sadie back on the wall for another attempt.
Minute to go.
Naomi getting really close on women's number 3 to that bonus hold, which we haven't seen anyone actually hold yet.
Dale Judson on M1. He's got 40 seconds. Enough time for a couple of goes at most.
Amelia having another
left.
go on the slab.
Ooh.
Naomi looking quite close on that move, but just not quite high enough on that hold.
Here comes Jordan into that undercut.
All right, that's the whistle blow. So next problem. Next person out for the women is Catherine McDougall. And we've got Abigail setting off on the slab. Last problem for Abigail.
Neil McCallum there getting to grips with M4.
And we've got Tom Lee coming out for his first boulder problem on men's number 1. Jacob Dilliston on men's number 2, setting off through those undercuts.
Jacob's gone to the crimp with his right. Interesting take on this problem. It's going to be a tough press off that sloper.
Grace Trenchard looking good at the top of female number 2.
He's committed to this now, though. Probably no going back.
Grace making easy work of female number 2.
Nice one.
Oh, he's making that lock a lot longer by having his left hand lower. Abigail trying to step across on women's number 4.
Dave Sutcliffe there on M3. Neil McCallum tries to get to grips with the complex start on M4. A couple of different ways of doing that according to the setters. Tom Lee on the slab. think he'll change his sequence this time. What do you think, Mina?
I hope so. Yeah, look
he's
at that. But
singing
it
now.
means you've really got to squeeze that pinch. It looks like quite a hard move to get your left hand up, which is probably why he went up right hand.
Yeah, and he's going to be
There we
tired from
go.
his first go as well.
Yeah. Abigail back on the slab.
Dave Sutcliffe front levering into that crucial position for this cross through to the undercut. It's just so tough to hold.
Looks such a powerful move, that. And we've got Tom Lee on problem number 1.
Yeah, Tom, 26 years old from Blackburn. This female 4 slab, it's not... Ooh, here we go. Tom Lee just making the move to the crimp now. Just
Not
bouldering
quite.
back.
Alice on female number 3.
Setting up for the crucial dyno. You've got to get a lot of height, haven't you? You've got to catch that on a bent arm.
Almost looks like you need quite strong legs for that move. A lot of
Really jump
spring
into
off
it.
your feet.
Yeah, for sure. Here comes Jacob now. He's really got to lock it in hard on this slope.
Oh, that's close.
So Neil McCallum, you can either press this move out, or there's like a double clutch move where you can catch the undercut. Minute to go. Tom Lee's up for a final burn.
Yeah, he got pretty close to that bonus hold on his last go. Hopefully he'll get it
Just
this
got to
time.
get a proper contact on that this time, and if he can do it, it'll recount in his favour, because not many have got that hold.
Well, we haven't seen anyone top either, have we? It'd be nice to see what it looks like.
Would be good. Matching the
there.
finishing hold looks so hard on that problem.
Probably last go for Abigail here and last go for Jacob. 20 seconds left for Jacob.
He's going down fighting on this one.
Yeah, he's going to be tired
Maybe
from
up.
having had a lot of goes on this, I'd imagine.
Come on. Ooh. Time just ticking away now. Why not give it one more?
All right, for the women, we have Rebecca Stevens now out on problem number 1. Rebecca's 18. She's local to Preston. Very local at BoulderUK. Her climbing style, she says, depends on the day, so that's good. Hopefully she's feeling burly today.
William Hargreaves on the slab now for the men. Nice first try from William there.
We've also got Naomi on the slab. Nice top there from Rebecca, making easy work of that first boulder problem.
Great start for her. She'll be full of confidence after that.
And we've got Dale Judson on men's number 2, setting up for that long lock.
Oh, and are we going to see Tom Lee topping the slab? Not quite.
Got Sadie Marsden on women's number 2. Jordan Byes on men's number 4.
And my apologies there, of course, Ben William Hargreaves on men's problem number 1. Here he is again, Ben William Hargreaves. Made a really, really strong first attempt on that slab.
Naomi looking good on the slab, although taking time to kind of laugh and look backwards, so maybe...
She's a great competitor, always with a sense of humour. A bit of masterclass on slab climbing here.
Oh, Ben
William Hargreaves. It's just not even a move to him, Mina. Can you believe that? Where so many others have struggled. He just greased there. He looked like he had it.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Although I wonder what matching that last hole will be like. That looks like it's not over until
ferocious. It's over. Dale Judson there, just on M2.
Ciara Fabry setting up for the jump on women's 3. And Naomi back on the slab.
Face says it all. Can he get it this time? Come on.
Ciara setting up again for the jump. Oh, looking quite close there.
She's slamming into it. I mean, looks like she's getting the height. Oh, it just goes to show with these hard slabs, even if you get to the last move, you've still got to do the start again when you try again.
Sadie setting off again on women's number 2.
Minute to go. Now it's good to get a close one on this problem. Jordan starting with a bit of a heel-toe cam there on his left foot. Trying, as he makes the press, you see how he's flicking his right hand into the undercut.
Yeah, quite a coordination move there.
Yeah.
Oh, different technique
Dale
on
Judson.
number 2 by Dale Judson, yeah.
So hard to see that crimp when it's hidden on top of the volume, isn't it, Mina?
I would imagine so.
Yeah, we can but guess. Ben William Hargreaves now. So difficult when you've essentially nearly topped the problem and then you start struggling on the lower section, just keeping it together mentally, not getting psyched out.
And often on those kinds of problems you don't, well, I certainly from my experience don't remember what you've done necessarily, because it's all a bit of climbing by feel.
Sure.
So then it can be hard to replicate. Jordan there looking like he's had a good time.
It just looks like such high quality climbing, doesn't it? I mean, how can you not? Really exciting problems. Now on M1 it's Matt Varela-Christie. He's come up from down south on the London scene. Well-known route setter down there. He's also placed pretty highly in quite a few competitions.
And we've got Flo Tilley on women's number 1.
Tom Lee there on M2. Can he keep himself in tension on that slope? But oh, not quite.
Catherine making good work on women's number 2. Whilst Flo, you can see in the background, doing well on women's number 1. High foot there, but making quite light work of it.
Amazing. Such a gymnastic climbing style she's got.
Really balancy here from Catherine.
Meanwhile, it's a super stealth problem here. Come on.
There she is.
Nicely done.
We've got Alice Thompson on the slab, the final problem for the women. It's interesting because the women have got the slab at the end and the men have the slab at the beginning. And I'm not sure what's better or what's worse, because by the end you're a bit mentally tired, so actually coordination when you're physically and mentally tired can be quite difficult, can't it?
I think either way there's no escape, is there? Matt Varela-Christie comes into the finishing hole on that slab, so close.
And here are the current standings on the left-hand side of the screen. So we've got a bit of an idea of how people are doing. Obviously, bearing in mind we've still got quite a few climbers to come out, and not everyone has been on all the boulders, but there you go, there's a current listing of the order of the competitors as it stands.
For the men, Neil McCallum, Jordan Byes, Dave Sutcliffe on top form here, looking in contention for the final, depending on what happens soon. And Dave Sutcliffe here, brushing that crucial undercut.
Jacob Dilliston on men's number 3. That really tough undercut move that I don't think we've actually seen anyone do yet.
Tom Lee here. Cut loose last time. Gotta just keep your feet drilled on that move. Now Matt Varela Christie would probably be the first to tell us that slabs aren't his forte, but
Grace looking close on women's number 3, but no one been able to do that move as yet. Oh, Dave Sutcliffe getting close on that move.
What can Matt VC make of this slab?
And we've got Alice setting up on the slab again, the other end of the wall.
So there's not too many dual textured holds on this slab, I'm told, Mina, so it's very much more about relying on friction, whereas with the men's one it's more about accuracy with your feet in order to miss the slippery sections on those dual textures.
And invariably just trust a bit of slippy volume, because you can't control that your foot doesn't go on it at all. So there's a little bit of close there on problem number 1.
Oh, Dave Sutcliffe's made the very hard start on just struggling with those nomad volumes.
Doesn't look like it's going to get any easier up there.
Apparently not. There's a crucial heel hook apparently on the left for that move on the 2 black nomad volumes set by Jamie Cassidy.
Grace having another go. Still no luck.
Matt VC.
Time to chalk
Checking
up.
the time, he's got 3 seconds, going to move fast.
Are we going to
That's
see
it.
a top?
Oh, would you believe it? Looks like he could have held that, but I think he got distracted by the buzzer there.
Yeah, maybe. It's also that dual texture on that finishing hold as well, so it's
Yeah.
pretty hard to get a good grip on it. It's probably the closest we've seen, though, on that first problem.
Who on earth came up with the idea for these dual textured holes, like smearing butter around the edges of your holds?
On problem number 1, we've now got Zoe Petermans. She's 18 years old, lives in Leeds, trains at City Block. Straight on with number 1.
Meanwhile, Aidan Dunn for the men, problem 1. Rocking over nicely into that crucial middle feature.
Zoe looking really good, finishing problem number 1 pretty easily.
Fantastic
She was
top
actually
for her.
5th in Plywood Masters in 2018, 6th in 2019, so she's made finals the last 2 years, so she might be someone that we see climbing again later on this afternoon if she carries on with that good form.
Aidan Dunn. He's from Leeds, which he says is where it's at, although he was born in Manchester.
Ciara on the slab now. Final problem for her. Making good progress across.
There he is into the crimp. He says his favourite style is precision style, so he's certainly putting his money where his mouth is. And would you believe it?
Oh, we're going to see a top.
He's more controlled into that finishing hold than we've seen so far. But can he match it? It's still not over. He's got to try and create some sort of opposing force here, maybe a toe hook or a heel under that volume. Really contorted. So tempting just to snatch.
It's going to be really difficult. Just to remind the audience, the top tower of results there, where we've got the names in order of how they're doing at the moment. The top tower is the men's, the the bottom tower is the women's.
Ben William Hargreaves here on men's 2. Just stopping short of that crimp on the top of the volume.
Ciara making her way. Oh, foot slip. I think that's the thing with that problem. You can be going really well and then suddenly you're just off. Same with problem number 1.
With both these slabs, hey?
Yeah, which is just, you know, when you think you've only got 5 minutes, if you've got half an hour of your time, then you can, it doesn't really matter if you have lots of foot slips.
Any element of rush just sets you off your game, doesn't it?
Sadie pulling on to women's number 3, quite burly. Big move coming up for her. See if she can.
It's just so hard to find that power to take off, isn't it, when you're going from such sloping holds?
Yeah, you can see from this camera angle actually how steep the wall is. It's really pretty burly.
For sure. Speaking of steep, here comes Dale Judson on men's problem number 3. Aidan Dunn again, having had one hand on the finishing hold. Can he get back up to his high point? We've seen a lot of competitors struggle to reach previous high points on this slab.
Yeah, it's quite hard to reproduce by the looks of it.
No doubt. He's looking pretty composed here. Come on, Aidan.
Ben William Hargreaves on problem number 2 for the men. Really close to getting that big lock, but not quite. They've got about a minute left, so all the competitors are reaching kind of the last phase of trying these boulder problems. They're going to start to think about having probably just one more good go.
Yeah. You'd probably take a 20-30 second rest and then just go for it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I imagine. It depends a little bit on the boulder problem, because I guess the slabs where you could slip off early, you don't want to leave your last attempt too late in case you have an early slip. So there's a lot of tactics actually in this kind of competing, and the same, you know, the final format's a little bit different, but similar in that you're quite time restricted, so you've got to be quite clever with how you use that time in terms of energy and in terms of having time to make those little mistakes. Aidan back on problem number 1. Let's see if he can give us a top here. He's only got 15 seconds, so he's actually going to have to be pretty quick.
When interviewed before the comp, he said if he could have one superpower, it would be to not have sweaty hands.
Wonder how that's working for him now.
Come on, Aidan, he's just going to have to slap for it. Oh!
Run out of time. Shame. Okay, on boulder problem number 1, we now have Emily Phillips. She's 17 years old and she lives in Leeds, but originally from London.
And on men's 1, it's Sammy Oakes, 19 years old, currently living near Birmingham.
Emily Phillips currently on the GB climbing team. Her best result is 10th in the Moscow Boulder World Cup, so she's one of the more experienced climbers at the competition today. So I think we can expect to see a pretty good performance from her as she makes, pretty easy work of problem number 1. We've got Grace on problem number 4, her last problem. Again, we haven't seen any tops on women's slab either, have we?
No. Ooh.
Sammy Oakes on problem number 1.
So Sammy says his favourite style of comp problem is one that only he can do and no one else can. Let's see if it will be this one. Matt VC using that killer crushing sloper strength here to his advantage. Nicely into the crimp on top of the volume.
Flo Tilley making good work on problem number 2. Again, she's looking pretty chilled up there.
Looks like he's going to static this last move is Matt VC. He's going to go for the lock. There we go. Nice from Matt VC there.
That puts him actually up into first place as it stands at the moment. Obviously, we've still got some climbers to come out. And Flo Tilley making a nice top of women's number 2. Good work. Tom Lee on men's number 3, struggling again on that start. We've not seen anyone get through that yet. Same as with women's number 3, we haven't seen anyone get through. Oh, I was about to say until now, but not quite. That's probably one of the closest we've seen.
Really close there. And Jacob Dillistone still struggling with his frustrating start on men's 4.
Grace back on the slab. Looking good, but I think, you know, a lot of the women have looked really good until they're off on the slab. It seems to, like, yeah, look really solid, and then they're suddenly slipping off.
Definitely that type of problem, isn't it?
Whereas the men's slab almost looks quite insecure right from the get-go.
Yeah.
She is doing really well on this.
Oof.
Catherine McDougall back on women's number 3.
Can she hit this dyno this time?
So close last time. Oh, so
just
close.
Pirouetted. Sammy Oakes up for another stab at number 1. Trains at Red Point in Worcester. Describes himself as tall at 6'1". Still don't think necessarily that reach is going to be any advantage on this problem. It's all about control.
We've got 1 minute to go. Into the bonus. Oh, and back down.
Probably enough to count for a bonus, that, wouldn't you say?
I'd hope so.
Will he have one more go?
Jacob setting off again on men's number 4.
He's going to give it one more as well. We've seen so many of the men timing out on this problem. Often the last go being the best. He's really sprinting, but it's not the sort of climb you can speed climb on.
Oh, shame. He didn't really get a chance to try that alternative method. So on problem number 1, we've now got Kitty Morrison coming out. Kitty is 18 years old. She lives in Newby. And she likes the fun ones when it comes to bouldering, so hopefully all of these will fit that description. Zoe on problem number 2. Eyeing up that bonus hold. Kitty doing well on problem number 1. I think that's a top from Kitty Morrison. Quick work.
Fantastic.
There. We've got Ben Preston on problem number 1. Giving the holds a good brush, wise man.
Yeah. Of course, the friction really starting to deteriorate at this point in the comp, and it's really testing the guys and girls who qualified in high positions. Brushing clearly helps, but
quite a dynamic approach there.
yeah. But it's warm out there, isn't it? Even when you brush the holds, it still feels pretty greasy.
Dale Judson setting up for men's number 4. Either quite a long lock, or this is kind of a double hand move maneuver. Is that what you call it, Neil?
Double clutch, or whatever they call them.
Not sure I've got the lingo down.
Moving 2 hands at the same time. Something you're always taught not to do as a beginner. Ben William Hargreaves there on men's 3, nearly catching that undercut. And we're back to Ben Preston on men's 1. A bit more stealth on his approach on the slab this time. He tried the dynamic method. He's got looking at possibly making this tough foot swap.
Zoe back on problem number 2 at the same time.
This is one of those moves you just want to put off, but eventually you've got to commit to it. That tricky dual textured foothold, so marginal. Oof.
Zoe making her way across. Get into that top part of the boulder problem. Just got to bring that right hand over somehow. Nice work.
Superb control and strength here.
Oh dear, and Zoe's actually just lost her glasses.
Tiny left-hand crimp there on that volume.
Very hard move here.
Major test of finger strength, even though the angle's easing back. Really pressed it out.
Really good effort, really shouldery. Good use of knee.
Anything goes at this point, and the back step, will that unlock it? Superb.
Really good effort from Zoe.
Minute to go, she's in time, she's got to just keep it together here.
A little bit further. And a good effort, she's made it. Doing the second half of the boulder without her glasses on. I wonder how much she needs those.
And we're back to Ben Preston with 45 seconds on M1. Goes for the dynamic method on that first rock over. Time's ticking away. He's probably going to give it his last shot.
And we've got Sadie on the women's slabs. This is the last boulder for Sadie.
Still a bit of time. And he sticks it. Back to Sadie there.
Ben on men's 3, again struggling with that roll under. We've not seen anyone do that yet.
Haven't seen anyone do it, have we?
I wonder if it's either a little bit too hard or we're yet to see someone come through and crush that move.
I think the way the setters described it was there'd be one problem that most people would do, 2 mediums, and then a really, really hard one that we may not see topped.
So we've got Matt Cousins out on boulder problem 1 now. Matt is a kind of well-seasoned competition climber. He's been on the British team for quite a few years, but he is at the moment coming back from injury. So I think, if I'm right, this is his first event.
First big event since,
after, quite a bad finger injury.
So most of the competitors we're going to see coming out from now on are our British team, once we get into the top 4 or 5 or 6.
We've got Hannah Smith on boulder problem number 1. You can just see in the corner making good progress. I think that's going to be a top for her. Emily Phillips on number 2, looking like she's having to try quite hard for that boulder, but and she's got it. Nice one.
Oh, Matt Cousins so close to a flash on M1. Looked like Matt Varela-Christie might have got through that tricky undercut move.
Flo Tilley looking close on women's number 3. Still yet to see someone do that move.
Still that jump, still that crucial jump. Sam Oakes there.
Making light work.
Topping out nicely on men's 2.
We've got Catherine on the slab, gently trying to walk her way across, gets onto those red footholds. Matt sets off again on the slab. Looked like his first go was really pretty good, so let's see what he can do here. He's got the bonus. One hand on the final hold. Let's see if he can match. Oh, no luck. Catherine's off on women's slab as well. Slabs are tricky today. Catherine using a bit of liquid chalk.
Good tactic at this stage of the comp. And Tom Lee here.
Oh, Flo getting close to that move on the big orange blobs.
26-year-old Tom Lee from Blackburn, currently living in York, trains at Red Goat. Bouldered 7C outdoors. Catherine here. Slab's just so tenuous. Ooh. Matt Cousins, can he latch the finishing hold? He can.
First top of the slab, really good work.
So good to see this man back in the game.
We're in the final minute now. Catherine looking steady as she makes her way across the traverse section of the slab. See if she can teeter over towards the bonus.
It's just this section here seems to be so marginal. Still that dyno on women's 3. Matt Varela Christie on M3. Just dropping out of that undercut.
Final 5 seconds. Last goes for everyone. Okay, so the next climbers we have out, we're going to have Tara Hayes on problem number 1. Tara is 22 years old. She lives in Sheffield. She's a member of the British team, so she's got a few good results, both junior and senior, to her name. She came second in one of the Junior World Championships. So she's a pretty seasoned competition climber, and this will be a really good event for her in the kind of lead up to the World Cup season starting.
And those of you who tune in regularly to these live streams are going to recognise chap climbing on men's 1 now, Dave Barons, the most experienced competitor in this competition. He's placed 6th in a World Championship. No, he's placed 3rd, sorry, in a World Championship event before. Give you an idea of how accomplished he is.
Pretty quick top there from Tara.
Not allowed to say Dave's age. It's 38, isn't it?
Something like that. On men's 2, we have Ben Preston making that lock out to that blue hold on the volume. Supposedly the crux, so maybe we'll see a top from him here.
He's looking pretty smooth.
And we've got Kitty Morrison on women's number 2. Trying to get settled on that last hold on the volume. Or second to last hold, sorry.
Dave Barron's just taking it casual before his second attempt on this slab. Incredible footwork there. There's just a certain calmness about Dave climbing.
Easy move to the boulder for Dave, and then let's see if he can match this finishing hold.
There we go. It's very slippery left foot there. He daren't put too much weight in that, so he's going to have to really compress. And there he is.
So it really seems to be getting that left hand onto the top part of that top hold that makes it possible.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the others that we've seen with their hand on the finishing hold but not being able to match, they've been too low down, haven't they, on the bottom of the hold. It's hard to tell that when you're watching until you see people do it. Rebecca Stevens on female number 4. And Zoe setting off on female number 3. Let's see if she can have a good go at this jump. Different technique there, she's matching the left hand hold using a heel. Still struggling, like all her previous competitors, to make that move up to the bonus.
Aidan Dunn here on men's 3. Ooh, sticking that undercut for a second, but just dropping onto an open hand there.
Katie Morrison back on problem number 2.
Seasoned competitor. Very steady.
Nice work there from Kitty. Another go at this jump from Zoe. She looked pretty close there actually. I guess the hold actually gets quite a bit better in the middle, around level with where the black tape is. So although we've seen quite a few people slapping at the bottom where it's chalky, it's obviously not quite good enough until you get a little bit higher with that right hand.
Well, I think there's a crucial trick to this dyno that a lot of them have missed. It's that you have to stab out and kick the volume on the right with your right foot to brace yourself. That's if you get the height for the reach in the first place.
Yeah. So I think you've got to get the height first and then get your foot kicked out. Rebecca on the slab.
We're just 10 seconds. What can she do?
And I think we've got Zoe quite high on the oranges. I think she made it just in time.
Looks like it was
awesome.
With about 0.1 of a second to spare.
They had to speed up right at the end. Okay, so on women's number 1, we now have Frances Bensley. She's 27 years old, lives in Coventry, trains at the Ballroom climbing wall. She's a really good, strong, basic board climber. She's climbed hard outside. She's climbed up to Font 8B.
We also have Hamish MacArthur, men's 1. He's had an incredible comp season this year. And he also climbed an 8C plus 9A in just 2 sessions. So he's on top form. Came second in the youth championships this year.
Frances looking pretty relaxed on problem number 1. Aidan reaching up for the bonus on the slab.
Hamish, another climber from York, trains at Redgate. Is he going to make a flash of the slab?
Might be about to see the first slab flash.
And with the heel and the match, that's it from Hamish MacArthur. Superb attempt.
Same time, Frances tops out easily on boulder number 1. We've also had a flash from Matt Cousins on men's number 2.
Women's 4 still proving a mighty challenge.
Starting to see a few more tops now.
Matt Varela-Christie makes that crucial catch on the undercut. Has he got the bell for this middle section? On those Nomad volumes set by Jamie Cassidy. I mean, this type of problem is exactly what Matt specialises at. Huge moves and compression. So close.
And we have Hannah Smith on women's number 2 now, making good progress. Quite a few different methods on the top of this problem that we've seen. Very close there. We've got Flo Tilley on women's number 4, the slab, making her way across onto those footholds that we see people's feet pop off quite a lot.
A lot of climb. VC's made that first undercut move.
Seems to be making quick work of the first half of the problem.
He's just probably going to go at this last move with a bit more. Ooh. Fatigue kicking in there.
Men's 4 set by Jamie Cassidy, using some of his volumes, the Nomad volumes. And we've only had one athlete, so only Matt has made the bonus hold. About 1 minute to go for all the competitors, so 1 more minute on their boulders. So for Flo, this is going to be her last boulder of the semi-final. At the moment, if everything else stays the same, she's in 5th place, but obviously we've got quite a few climbers still to climb and still to climb on the rest of the boulders if they have started. So if she can make a top, obviously that will be really helpful.
Matt Varela Christie setting up for the last move on men's 4. Just dropping out.
And Hannah Smith getting pretty close on women's number 2. There we go. Well, yeah, there we go.
Nice job. And Matt's calling it time there. Currently in 3rd. The other Mr. Cousins, the other Matt, Mr. Cousins, seems to be putting in a tremendous performance.
All right, so on boulder problem number 1 in the women's, we now have Thea Cameron. Thea's 19 years old. She lives in Clitheroe. She's a local to BoulderUK. She actually works at BoulderUK, so she's going to have very much a home crowd behind her this afternoon. She's competed in the last 2 years, so in 2008 she came 9th in this competition. In 2019 she came 5th, so she was a finalist last year, and we might see her again in the final this year.
And another household favourite setting off on men's 1, Jim Pope. Super experienced and accomplished guy in sport climbing, trad, and certainly on the comp scene too. 21. From Sheffield, well, from London originally, now lives in Sheffield. He's come, best comp result is a 6th in the European League Championships.
Thea making short work of problem number 1. And Tara making short work of number 2. The problems are all starting to go quite quickly now.
Dave Barron's on men's 2.
Ready for that long lock up to the blue hole that looks quite hidden, but oh, there he is, there he's got it.
That's a training problem for someone like Dave. But this is the thing, isn't it? Having seen just how hard these moves are, watch someone like Dave come out. Shows how impressive the standard is.
Absolutely.
Still that undercut move on men's 3 for Ben Preston. And Aidan Dunn certainly solved the trick on that tough starting move. Just needed to stick that heel a bit more on.
Kitty Morrison setting off on the big blobby orange one. Let's see if she can get close to this bonus hold. Big jump.
Just looks so far away, doesn't it?
It's worth noting that those 2 start holds on women's, the orange one, women's number 3, the tops of them are dual texture, so the tops of them are like glass, so it's not as simple as just putting a high foot on one of those to help you jump. Zoe making good progress on the slab.
Been so consistent so far. Running in second.
So far the only competitors to do the problem before this as well, the big orange one.
Just really taking her time to get her right foot in the right position on that crucial red hold on the volume. We've seen so many competitors slip off that foothold.
Jim getting quite high on the first boulder for the men, the slab.
Ooh,
jumping at the top
dyno
hole.
at the
Very
top,
risky.
Jim Pope.
Kitty Morrison setting off again on problem number 3.
Give it a bit more turbo this time.
Minute and a half left of this round of boulders. So while the scoring system no longer really reflects, or it's no longer as important to flash boulders in terms of scoring, obviously it does help because in this kind of format you end up getting a lot more rest if you do it first go.
Yeah.
Because you've got 5 minutes on, 5 minutes rest, 5 minutes on, 5 minutes rest across 4 boulders. So obviously if you're doing them first go, you're getting eight or so minutes rest in place of just 5.
And especially in the context of those who are going to get through to the finals, it's not just saving energy to complete the semis, it's having it in the tank for the final 2, isn't it?
Yeah, but having said that, bonus holds count quite a lot now, so generally the climbers that get further up the walls, all the walls on the hole, regardless of whether they flash or not, are going to be the ones that we see in the final. So you'd rather be in the final and tired than have loads of energy and not quite
not
make
be in the
it.
final.
25 seconds left. Come on, everybody, you spill the water.
Hayden Dunn still looks like he's got plenty in the tank. Not quite getting the contact with that left heel again.
Ben Preston on men's number 3 got the undercut.
Incredibly strong
Slapping
coming
out
into the
bonus.
undercut. And the clock's just ticking away now for Zoe.
3, 2, 1. Okay, next up, we've got Hannah Slaney and Max Miller.
Next up we have Hannah Slaney for the women's competition on boulder number 1.
And Max, the future, Milne on problem 1. Notorious character on the scene. Renowned for his Herculean strength.
Hannah is 20 years old. She lives in Manchester.
Hamish MacArthur.
Hannah did the Plywood Masters in 2019 where she came first.
Incredible track record, Hannah Slaney. And Hamish MacArthur just dancing up this one. Doesn't seem to have to pull.
Francis, little foot slip there on the second boulder for Francis. Meanwhile, Hannah makes what looks like a very easy top of boulder number 1.
Ooh, Max just faltering on that final match.
Got Hannah on women's number 3, taking a little rest before going again on those big orange blobs.
Max Milne has made the World Junior Championships finals, and he got a bronze in the European Championships as well.
Interesting technique there
Outrageous
from
drop now.
Hannah Smith. I mean, it actually looks like it might work though.
Incredible.
Maybe not quite. Maybe it gets her to the hole, but not quite high enough.
Not enough height, yeah.
Francis looking good on problem number 2, just trying to figure out how to do that top section by the looks of it.
all about finding that hip position, isn't it? The climbers who've gone through here, it's just when their hips have locked into place. If you're tempted to rush the hand move when you're off balance, that's what happens. Here he is. See how he's looking on that undercut move. He's in.
Yeah, Matt looking really good on men's number 3. We haven't seen many men get past this point, but here he goes, looking really solid. Oh, helicoptering off there, just not quite being able to hold that swing, but it looked close.
Max Milne, here we go. We know he's got the power. Has he got the slab stealth?
I think he has.
This time, no doubt he has.
Emily being made to work quite hard on women's number 4 slab. Still hasn't seen a top. Only boulder not yet to be done in the women's part of the competition. Hannah going again with her crazy drop knee. Sammy Oakes on men's number 4. Doing that first double hand move pretty easily, setting off into the slopey volumes. Looking pretty comfortable up there. Until that last crimp.
So marginal.
Here we go, Francis, different technique this time. And she's made it.
Lovely use of that right knee on the side of the volume. Right knee drop.
Phillips looking good on the slab. We haven't really seen anyone get that far across on this slab.
Just makes you wonder if it's possible, doesn't it? Although no doubt it is.
It's interesting for the route setters when they're setting for a competition like this, because obviously setting the boulders is quite tiring. They test them, so they make sure that all the moves go, but they might not necessarily do the whole boulder in sequence. So we do know that all these moves should, in theory, if they've done as usual, they should all go, but obviously these climbers are being asked to do it from the beginning all the way through without falling, which is quite a different challenge.
In 5 minutes with worn out skin.
Yeah, tired from the day before. Okay, so on problem number 1, we now have Holly Tootle in the women's competition. Holly is 18 years old, she lives in Cowling, and she trains at City Block. She was British bouldering champ in 2019. And on problem number 1, we have Nathan Phillips.
Jim Pope here on men's 2. Problem should suit him down to the ground. He's chalking up.
Pretty quick work of that.
We expected no less from him there. Jim Pope.
Same with Holly Tootle, a nice flash of women's number 1.
And Nathan Phillips requires no introduction. A man on incredible form, just so consistent. Always a stern test to come out and get on something as fluffable and low percentage as this, but somebody like Nathan just takes it in his stride.
Nathan's usually, I mean, maybe I'm speaking too soon, but he's usually really good at flashing problems. He's quite good at being able to do hard problems first go.
Yeah, and doesn't seem to have a weak style, does he?
No.
That's a really interesting way of doing that top. He didn't need to get all his fingers on it, he just needed to touch it with both hands.
Yeah, very different to the others.
That's the competitive, like knowing those little tricks. That's the. Dave Barron's here on men's 3.
Okay, so the competition's finished for Emily Phillips, one of our British team climbers. So she has a good chance of making the finals, but there is a possibility she could still, with the numbers how they are, end up in 7th. That's the kind of worst position that she could make at this point. So it's likely she'll end up in finals, but not guaranteed. So it's kind of nerve-wracking for her at this point. She's not secure in there. She's got to watch and see how everyone else does. Tara resting up for women's number 3. And Thea setting off on women's number 2. Nice work from Thea, looking very strong, slow and steady on women's number 2, and there we have it atop.
Local climber, she's got a big following here.
Kitty Morrison working her way across the slab.
It'd just be so nice to see this slab done, wouldn't it?
Nice jump start there on the slab.
And with a minute left, in theory she's got time. Certainly no point rushing. She's got to really take it steady. Dave's been struggling with this move into the undercut here. See if you can latch it this time. Ooh. Ben Preston, men's 4, smashing into these nomad volumes. Could have done with a heel or a toe on the left, probably.
Dave Barron's on men's number 3, setting up for the really difficult move into the undercut there. Dave Barron's is making it look hard. We know it's very hard. And it's switch over time. So these are our last climbers coming out onto problem number 1. So in the women's we have Jen Wood. She won the qualifiers round, so she's the top ranked female coming into this semi-final round. She is from Manchester, lives in Manchester, trains at Rockover, and she's been competing for really quite a while now. She's on the British team, so fairly established, very experienced climber.
And for the men, we've got Sam Butterworth on problem number 1 from Leeds, trains at City Block. Had an incredible qualification round. Oh, Matt Cousins.
Getting very close to that top crimp on boulder number 4 for Matt Cousins there.
Max Milne, men's 2. Coming up to this crucial lock move.
Hannah Slaney making a top of women's number 2.
So easy from Max Milne there. Sam Butterworth here on men's 1.
Okay, so Emily Phillips is actually guaranteed in the final now, so she can rest easy. Our first climber to have a guaranteed spot moving into this afternoon's final round.
Sam Butterworth just struggling with that crimp, needs to be in a bit more balance. Probably wouldn't quite have qualified for a bonus just on that touch.
Got Hannah Smith on women's number 4.
Is he going to try and go direct to the finishing hold?
They've deliberately made that a little bit too far away.
Commit his weight to those footholds this time. You can see what he's got to do. Matt Cousins on men's 4. See if he's got that trick with the little right hand flick into the undercut. Let's watch his right hand here. Oh, he sticks it perfectly.
Interesting, you can still see he's actually wearing a bit of tape on his left hand on that finger. Wonder if that's just precautionary at this point.
Just
coming
for
back from
protection.
an injury, just maybe a bit of a reminder as well while he's climbing, not to overdo it on that finger.
Sam Butterworth again on the men's slab, number 1.
Can be quite nerve-wracking being the last climber coming out. Got no one following you and you've got everyone watching you.
For sure.
Especially as we move on now, you know, after these climbers, problem number 1's going to be empty. So as they progress through, they're going to have more and more of the crowd just watching them on their own. So it can kind of come with a little bit more pressure and expectation being the last climber out in this round.
And of course the holds are so trafficked. These squadra holds. Even if you brush them. Matt Cousins just making that little flick move. Testing his endurance to the limit now.
One minute to go. Interesting to see if he has another go now. He's got 1 minute. It's a very physical boulder, but it is his last boulder of the round, so really I'd expect him to give it one more shot.
Probably be thinking about that finger as well though, won't he? It's always a balancing act. Sam Butterworth again. Getting to grips with this slab.
Hannah making her way across women's 4. And we've got Frances Bentley making a top on women's number 3. Matt doing well on men's number 4. This is definitely going to be his last go with 12 seconds to go. Ooh. And he went straight for the top hold, but no luck, but good effort, Matt. That's time, and we have no more new climbers coming out, so problem number 1 is done and dusted for everyone in the competition. So we're watching the last climbers here, all fighting for a spot in this afternoon's final. Top 6 go through to the final, so that's 6 men and 6 women.
We have our next guaranteed finalist, Hamish MacArthur in 5th.
Problem 2, we've got Holly Tootill.
Nathan Phillips on men's 2. Get the impression Nathan, as he's climbing these problems, will be consciously conserving energy.
Dave Barron's looking good on men's 4.
I didn't think he was going to fall into that trap somehow.
Slow and steady from Nathan.
Definitely like one of those sprinters who slows down for the last 10 metres in qualifying. Cruising his way. There he goes.
Top there from Nathan Phillips. Good work.
Jim Pope firing into men's 3 here. See what he can make of this drop down into the undercut. Oh, so strong on the left hand. Just the sort of problem that Jim does well. Back to make the catch. Incredible from Jim here. Oh. Amazing from Jim Pope. Always so consistent.
Got Thea making work on women's number 3. We've got Tara on the slab, women's number 4. Still haven't seen a top of the slab. I wonder if we will see one at this point.
Such an incredible competitor, Tara Hayes.
Tara had a pretty bad break to her foot not that long ago, you know, in the last couple of years, which has taken her a while to kind of come back from. So it's nice to see her bouldering and looking confident on the wall.
And so much experience behind her. She seems to have got back up to form. Close to top form.
Thea setting up for the jump move. Looking really close there, but not quite. Last 45 seconds for Tara on the slab. Let's see if she can get across and into that bonus hold.
Incredible on that middle section. Ooh.
What about that right foot staying on, which doesn't seem to be happening for anyone? Last 25 seconds for Dave Barons here. He's moving fast.
So solid on that left heel. We've seen that ping off for so many competitors, but it just looked glued on for Dave. And with 10 seconds left, most of the competitors are probably going to use the time to rest now.
Hannah Slaney starting on problem number 3 for the women, so the big orange blobby one.
Seen a few different approaches here, but there's no hiding from the fact that it's just such a huge move. It's that bonus hold. And Hamish MacArthur just doesn't seem to have to engage out of warm-up mode.
Yeah, climbing very well at the moment. Making this look.
It's just so fluid and relaxed. Not the slightest bit of hip movement when he hit that crimp. Oh, that was a surprise. Looked like he just needed to go a fraction further left, I'd say.
Jen Wood making good progress on women's number 2. I'm pretty sure she just used a foothold for her hand.
Just looks so imbalanced on that move.
Yeah, nice and easy for Jen Wood.
Another incredibly consistent climber. Such a string of high comp results to her name.
Max Mill making good progress on men's number 3.
He looks like he means business here.
Yeah, haven't seen many tops, but there is one more. Max Mill with a flash.
Sam Butterworth on men's 2.
And so that flash has made Max another guaranteed finalist, so he's definitely in the top 6, regardless of how he climbs from here on in. He is in the final. Sammy Oakes also guaranteed 6th, qualified for finals.
Here goes Hannah Slaney. She's got to make that match. According to the setters, that last match is quite scary with that heel on.
And we have Frances on the slab.
Frances is bowled at 8B outside. I think that's the highest level from any of the competitors in this semi-final for the women.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a really, really strong climber, very good outside, very good inside as well, but I'd say most of her experience more lies outside, so it's nice to see her embracing all sides of climbing and doing so well in the competitions. And we've got Hamish topping on men's number 4.
No mistake on that last move that time.
Still 2 minutes to go. Make these first round, Francis.
Just down to the last few attempts now. Still a bit of time for Frances Bensley. Getting into the nuances of this slab. Managing to block that barn door there. Tempting to go up to that high volume too soon, isn't it? Just over a minute left. Still time. But the thing with the slabs is you can be on them for a long time, so you don't want to rest for too long.
You've got to move slowly and carefully, which just does mean it takes a while. So Frances has 45 seconds.
Some of the power problems can be climbed in like 10 seconds, but the slabs, in theory, she could be on this for the full duration that's left.
Good. Close there from Frances. I wonder if she'll have another go. She's only got about 20 seconds. She's pulling on with about 12 seconds to go. Be impressed if she can make it across in that time, but it's a good effort. Having a go anyway. Last boulder. May as well.
Ooh.
And on problem 3, we've got Holly Tootle. On men's 3, we've got Nathan Phillips. And we've got Jim Pope on men's number 4. So last problem for Jim. And at the same time, we've got Thea Cameron on women's 4, the slab.
Holly Tootle here, setting up for the dyno, women's 3. Which foot to use, that's the question.
Both of those holds are slippy glassy on the top, so they're the dual texture ones.
Local girl, Thea Cameron, the vest's matching the logo on the wall here.
Nathan looking good with that undercut move. Close there for Nathan.
I think that's a sign of just how bad those holds are. Holly Tootle. Going to set up a bit quicker this time, I would imagine. Oh, the drop knee. Incredible.
Working well for Holly there. Looking really good. She's just got to keep it together to the top.
Superb from Holly Tootle there.
Nathan having another go.
And that top that we saw from Holly Tootle guarantees her a position in the final. Nathan just winding it back in after that pirouette. Regaining his composure.
And at the same time, we're seeing Jim make a top on men's 4, taking him into second place. So Jim in second, guaranteed to make the finals. Nathan Phillips tops men's 3, taking him into 4th.
And that's Nathan in the final too, after that last performance.
Thea looking good on the slab.
Really cruising there where others have struggled, but this is the crucial part when you have to weight that right foot. Ooh. Remains elusive.
So there's actually only one available spot left in the final. So they've all been guaranteed taken by climbers already. So we've got Barons.
Barons and Dunn still to be decided.
Yep, so they're fighting for that final spot.
Francis Thea Cameron again. So Tara's in, Frances Bensley's in.
Thea giving it everything on that final slab. 30 seconds to go. So out of the finalists that you see on the men's side of the score, so that top list of names, the top 5 are secure. Matt Cousins in 6th currently, but he could get knocked out. So that's the one spot that's still kind of up for grabs. At the moment it's his, but it's not completely secure yet. So quite exciting finish to the semi-finals for the men's. Jen setting off on boulder problem 3 for the women's. Jen's quite a powerful climber.
Will she go for the jump or the drop knee?
For the jump, but a little bit shy of the good part of that hold there. Okay, so the top 5 spots in the women's are secure now. That 6th spot where Tara Hayes is currently sitting is technically still up for grabs. Contender to take that off Tara's hands is Jen Wood. Jen Wood is currently on boulder number 3, so she's still got boulder 3 and boulder 4 to try. So she's done pretty well already. She has a chance to take that final spot from Tara Hayes.
Max Milne just missing that crucial flick into the right hand undercut. Jen Wood setting up for this big move. Will she dyno? Will she drop me? Just looked like she popped a bit on her right hand as she took off there. Max Milne looking at the clock, plenty of time to go here.
Sam Butterworth crossing through for that undercut now. Really powerful, strengthy move that we've seen there in the men's problem number 3. Max Milne setting off on boulder problem number 4. Max is already in the final. Might not know that himself though, so still obviously giving this boulder problem all his effort.
So solid on that heel. Hi. He looked like he went past that crimp. Ooh,
So
same as what
close.
happened to Hamish on that last move. It must be a bit deceptive. You'd expect those guys to hit that. Good part of that volume, of that final slope must just be a little bit to the left. Hannah again, this was the right foot that blew. Can she do it differently this time? Choosing to go onto the right hand of the 2 footholds. Seems to be a dilemma to whether to brace the left foot high up on that big red thing, or do you stay low? So with Max Milne, he's guaranteed into the final, so he doesn't really have to do anything, but of course he's a competitor. He wants to climb well on this final problem and show what he can do. It's a bit like those snooker players that don't need to clear the table, but they still clear it anyway.
Sam back on problem number 3. A lot of strength in the left arm needed there. You kind of want to be able to hold that hold pretty solid and just move the right arm. But obviously that requires a lot of strength. Kind of Slaney teetering across the slab. Trying to figure out the best method to stay on the wall, keep that right foot nice and steady. Jen Wood manages to stick the dyno on the orange problem, women's number 3. This bodes well for her potentially sneaking into that last spot in the final, so that's a top for Jen.
Jen Wood, in she goes.
So she's in 4th place now.
Max Milne getting that flick into the undercut. And almost relaxing into this middle section, would you believe? He's only got to give it another centimetre and he'll be into that finishing hold. And he finds it, of course.
There he is, top for Max. Doesn't change his position, but maybe changes his confidence for the final.
And of course always the issue of count back from the final, so wanting to secure your place with the highest number of points.
Holly Tootle on the slab. Starting to think we're not going to see a top on this one, Neil. What do you think?
We've got to, haven't we? It would be such a fitting end to these semis if we could see one. Hold out hope for Holly Tootle here. She certainly looked very solid on that move.
So for Nathan Phillips, if he tops this block, he'll end up in 1st place.
Holly has just stuck the crucial bonus hold on this slab and she looks more set for this than anyone else. Could this be a good omen from you, Mina? I think it could.
Oh, well, did she match that? Is she going to get that?
I'd be tempted to give that to her. It'd be pretty cruel if not. It's right on the cusp, isn't it? The high drama.
I think she's secured that top. I think she held it for just about long enough to be given that as a top. So that confirms her in first place at the moment.
This start must be so hard. Really tricky to just catch that left hand edge and turn into the undercut with your right hand without actually looking at your right hand.
So Nathan's out there on his own at the moment. Second to last male climber. We've got Sam Butterworth after Nathan to go on men's four, and we've got Jen Wood still to climb on women's four, the slab. So we're nearing the end of this run. We're getting more and more crystallised in who we're going to see this afternoon in the final. But there's still a few people climbing.
This time Nathan making that crucial catch. He's only had 3 tops, this problem. 8 climbers have reached the zone, but only 3 tops. Jim, Hamish and Max, I believe. We'll have some confirmation on that. Phillips just cooling his fingertips down there. And with 45 seconds left, Nathan Phillips piles into this last problem. Sticks the first tricky coordination move. Now it's time to really turn the power on these nomad volumes.
Good effort from Nathan.
She's got to go far left on this finishing hold.
Let's see if he can do it.
Doesn't look like he's got a secure hold on it, but he has. Superb from Nathan Phillips.
In the last 15 seconds as well. It's a really good effort. He'll be pleased with that.
As he has a habit of doing. Just knows exactly how to pace himself.
It's quite a nice position for Nathan as well, finishing in third. He's kind of in the top 3. So he's kind of climbing the middle of the pack in the finals, which is quite nice. It can be a bit nerve-wracking coming out first. It could also be a bit nerve-wracking coming out last. So he's actually set himself up pretty well there.
He's set himself up well. And my goodness, it's a strong final. Both the men's and the women's. Certainly isn't obvious based on these semis who's going to win it. You'd rank any one of those finalists to take the top slot.
Jen making her way across the slab. We've seen how it's done now thanks to Holly Tootle. Let's see if Jen can follow in her footsteps.
Ooh.
So Jen has the opportunity here. She's currently in 4th. She could potentially move as far as 2nd if she's able to do this slab, which would improve her position on countback. But she is in the final, so she doesn't technically need this block in order to progress to the next stage.
I guess being a slab, though, it's not going to be too taxing on energy levels, so she may as well give it her best.
Yeah, but then you have to also think about skin.
That's true.
And they've done a lot of climbing already today and yesterday to get to this point. But she might be completely unaware of where she is and just be thinking, I need to get as high on everything as I can.
Yeah, that's usually the way it goes, isn't it? Ooh, Sam Butterworth not quite pulling in on that left heel enough for that move into the nomad volume.
Jen Jen looking good on the slab, reaching across towards the, oh, but not quite in time before that right foot, that pesky right foot, slips off.
Jen Wood, time on her side. And Sam Butterworth catching that first move consistently. Get a bit more traction on that heel this time. Oh, he can. Would look pretty well set there.
It's worth mentioning it's quite difficult actually to choose a pair of shoes for a competition round because you need really different things on different boulders. So it might be that a stiff downturn pair of shoes for a steep burly boulder problem might be perfect, but then you've also got to wear a pair of shoes that you can then do a really techie slab on, where you may want a softer, flatter pair of shoes to get more surface area on the holds. It's quite difficult actually.
Just catching it on his fingertips there.
Jen looking good, consistently getting to this point, but then needs to be really careful of that right foot.
She got that bonus touch though.
Yeah, that counts as a zone for Jen, moving her up into third place.
With a minute to go, probably the last attempt for Jen. Can Sam find a bit more power just to finish this one off? Come on, Sam. Solid on that heel, he's just got to really hit this crimp hard.
Seconds left for these last two competitors. Jen at that same crucial point in the slab. Let's see if she can get her feet to stay. Getting a little bit further this time into the bonus, nice and solid.
Can it be another top on this slab?
Be a great way to finish for Jen. Can she match?
Yes.
And she's done it.
So good to see that being climbed, having seen so many climbers struggle.
And that takes Jen into second place, below Holly Tootle for the final round.
Final attempt there from Sam Butterworth. Wow, what a semis. Incredible problems.
That's the semi-final round over. And the final standings there in the women, we have Holly Tootle, Jennifer Wood, Emily Phillips, Hannah Slaney, Zoe Petermans and Frances Bensley as the top 6 going through into the finals.
And for the men, Hamish MacArthur qualifying comfortably in first, followed by Max Milne, Nathan Phillips, in fourth Jim Pope, fifth Sammy Oakes, and sixth Matt Cousins, with Dave Barons just missing the cut, closely followed by Aidan Dunn, Matt VC and Neil McCallum.
What a brilliant round. Well, thank you so much for tuning into the semi-finals of the Plywood Masters here at BoulderUK. Join us back here at 3:55 for the finals.
See you then.